It would have just been nice if you just worn the costume just once.
Well,
I've been here week after week, dressing up. You're the one who come in with the facts. Everyone thinks you're the serious one. And I'm here sat like a clown. And I'm sick of it, mate. And I've got you a nice costume. What was your problem?
But I just don't want to wear the costume.
Well, maybe this is changing mind. You know, I'm strapped, right? I'm packing.
Okay.
You go and get a costume.
I'll go and put
right?
the costume on. All right.
Blow you away.
Okay, all right, fine.
Oh, it's starting, James. Come on, you missed. Come on, get ready.
I don't want to. Okay.
It looks good. There we go. Finally. Welcome to Review to a Kill. He's happy.
I hate you so much. Right. Hello and welcome to A Crown and a Crocodile Talk Shit About Bond Films, episode 13. My name's James and I'm a big James Bond fan.
My name's Tom and I'm watching these movies for the first time.
Yeah.
Getting into it.
And we actually started off doing
trousers are broke.
Yeah, we'll just carry on.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's not the biggest problem tonight. We're fine. We started off looking at these movies from the point of view of someone who's seen them a million times before and someone who's watching them for the first time. And the idea was that we were going to score and compare each other's scores. But over the last few episodes, it's sort of become a bit of a dressing up box, really.
Yeah.
It's like play away for James Bond. So I'm dressed as a crocodile and he's dressed as a clown because obviously tonight we're talking about Octopussy, which you'd have to be a Bond fan to understand.
Yeah,
but,
episode 13. So
episode
we're getting
13.
halfway through. I don't think when we first had our first meeting about this,
I didn't think we would be here.
By the halfway point, it would probably look like this.
No, I had a different vision.
Show's gone in this is what happens.
What this is like our Beatles in Sgt. Pepper period.
Yeah.
This is like our mid period of our career.
It'll probably get a bit more serious once we get,
Well, no, because we've got to start taking ecstasy next, haven't we? That's the sort of next we got. No, I don't know. I mean, here we are. Anyway, look, as we always say before every episode of this incredibly serious podcast, tube broadcast thing, there will be
spoilers.
So if you haven't seen this movie before, this hood is falling down over. You're struggling with your nose. Yeah. I can't see out of this because of the mouth of the. If you haven't seen the movie that we're talking about this evening, if you haven't seen Octopussy, switch off now. If anyone is indeed still watching at this point, if you haven't seen Octopussy, switch off because we don't want to give the game away with any spoilers. This movie is, after all, only 41 years old, so you may not have got round to seeing it yet. No, we haven't, and that's true. Look, we always want to hear your feedback and your comments. Particularly, Tom would like to know about your comments on his sartorial elegance every episode, which looks lovely. So
I'm not just a clown. I am 007.
He's 007.
Advertising the fact that I'm
dressed
a secret
as
agent.
a clown. Yeah. No, that's because I wouldn't know you were 007. I'd be too busy looking at the red nose and the wig and the. Yeah, that's a nice touch though.
Do you imagine if my mum's dog saw me wearing this? I'd stand no chance. He'd just be so many toys to kill.
And his nose squeaks. Right, every episode we want to get your feedback. So please do send us your feedback by leaving a comment under the line here, under the video on that there YouTube, or you can Twitter X thingy us.
I've lost my hat again.
Yeah.
I don't notice when that falls off.
No, I know. That's a significant issue for the future of this podcast. Yes, you can YouTube. You can also message us on Twitter, X thing, whatever it's called now.
What is it?
At
Shitter.
Review Kill Show.
Yeah.
At Review Kill Show. Find us there and send us a little message. And all these people that we're about to talk to have done exactly that. Because it's time for this episode's Feedback Corner. Nice. Right, let's do Feedback Corner. So these were all the comments we got on the last episode, which of course was about For Your Eyes Only. Episode 12.
Yeah.
First message is from Howard Sinclair, our friend.
We know him. He's a good lad.
He is. He's a very lovely musician as well.
He is
Howard.
very
He's a very
good.
talented man.
He bloody well is.
I haven't said for a while. Tom Scriven Music on SoundCloud.
And I'd
He's
say
good,
Howard,
this man.
I'll put Howard Sinclair.
Howard's SoundCloud up there as well.
Link to
Yeah,
Easy, yeah.
I mean, Howard doesn't dress quite like that.
He's
but,
not much of a dresser compared
not,
with
not
us.
compared to that. Like. Anyway, Howard says, "Fab to see you back, but please don't leave it so long between episodes this time." That was my fault, Howard. I apologise. I was busy gallivanting around Paris and being fabulous.
Pretending you were Roger Moore.
I was, yes. I was at the Olympics.
He was, yeah.
So
did you watch any of that speed climbing? I got into that.
I watched canoeing. And I watched, I watched loads of things. Handball, that was good. Ooh. Yeah, I had a good time. And I went to the athletics one day.
Cool.
I went to the stadium.
That's the best bit.
That was brilliant. Yeah, it was really, really good. So anyway, that's why it was so long between episodes. We've not left it so long this time, and hopefully we won't in future. Kudos to Tom, Howard says, on classy costume and puppetry action too. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, this episode, he's obviously outdone himself.
I was going to put scratches around it.
Yeah, well, you know.
She's asleep somewhere.
Robert Crook.
Probably killing mice.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Robert says, another great review. You both put so much effort in. Well, Tom does. It's greatly appreciated. I do like this film, referring to For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah.
Went to see it at the Royalty Cinema in Bo'ness when it came out. That sounds lovely, doesn't it? That's very nice. Whilst I know it is meant to be a more grounded Bond film, how come that after running up all those steps to kill Locke after he blew up the warehouse, how come Roger was not completely shagged out?
Yeah.
This is totally unrealistic. Any normal 54-year-old would have been in pieces. He's absolutely right. I mean, that is a glaring error in the movie, isn't it? Oh.
Well spotted, Rog.
Hang on a minute.
Rob, sorry.
Stop and have a fag halfway up or something. So, Robert also says he's dug out the Marvel Comics adaptation of this film, which I've never seen.
No, that sounds
so
good.
I've learned something there. Thank you, Robert. Yeah. I will look that one up. My friend Tracy's been in touch to say thanks a million, Tom, for listening to my comments on X, because she requested a Blofeld costume, so she was very pleased to see that after the Moonraker episode 11. Mrs. Wallace sends her best. Hi, Mrs. Wallace. Hello. And she's still the highlight of her month, especially when I set her up on YouTube on her TV. You know what that means? Mrs. Wallace is at home. This is our most 'viewer. Is at home watching this
on the telly
on a 60-inch TV in glorious HD.
Brilliant. That's the way to do it. It should be on the telly.
Yeah, I mean, look at the effort that's gone into it. Yeah,
on all channels.
Prime time.
That's why I get annoyed when you say podcast.
I know, sorry.
Should be on the telly.
That I think is what HD was invented for.
Yeah.
60 inches of this.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you know, what more could you ask? So, hello, Mrs. Wallace, and thank you very much for watching. Triforce of Kaz has been in touch again to say, looks like we found the next Blofeld. Someone let Eon know for when they make the next Bond film. Which is probably going to be about 2040.
Many letters to Michael G. Wilson. Many.
Yeah.
And I'm planning a little trip up to his office. I'm going to do a bit of a Rupert Pupkin on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I learned a lot from that movie.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Keep going. He can't say no forever.
Exactly.
You know, he's got to...
Yeah. And the security guards can beat the shit out of me, but they're not allowed to kill me. So.
Well, that'd be your action sequence audition, won't it? You know, exactly. Look how well I take a punch.
Yeah, maybe I should have... See?
See, it's all coming together. As for the pre-title scene, says Triforce of Kaz, I believe it was meant to be a completely spiteful up yours to McClory and the pending project that would be Never Say Never Again. Yes, it was.
I forgot to watch it.
Yeah, we did touch on this in the last episode, but we'll talk about it tonight. The Battle of the Bonds. This goes right back to the 60s, but it sort of came to its zenith in the early 80s. And that's why they had the character of Blofeld in the pre-title sequence of For Your Eyes Only, but couldn't actually call him Blofeld because McClory owned the rights to that name. And this goes back to a dispute that Kevin McClory had with Ian Fleming right back in the 1960s over the novel of Thunderball, where McClory said that Fleming had basically stolen a lot of his ideas and written the novel for Thunderball out of that. So therefore the movie rights were all caught up in this. And that's why Kevin McClory went away and remade Thunderball and called it Never Say Never Again in the early 80s. The whole thing took decades to go through the courts. So yes, you're absolutely right, Triforce of Kaz. And if we didn't go big enough on that in the last episode, then I humbly prostrate myself and say apologies to you for that. And finally... it's the official nice person. Queenie Colombo has been in touch to say, best intro so far, the last one, which I thought was good, I must be honest.
I just made you laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
From turning around.
Yes, exactly. She didn't realise that Tom was sitting in your chair, because just when you turned around, she said she fell about laughing when you turned around and bashed the heel of my foot on the wall. Your effort is very much appreciated. Thank you for persevering through the discomfort. The sweat was noticeable in close-ups. Again, I apologise. I apologise to Mrs. Wallace because on that 60-inch TV, you're going to see sweat the size of footballs, aren't you?
Sorry about that.
Very sorry about that. But anyway,
that's
thank
the
you.
only drawback with HD, isn't it?
That is the problem with HD. We almost look too good. Thank you for all your comments, and we would love to hear more comments from you. Oh, just before we leave Feedback Corner, one thing I should say. We are going to do a brief, special question and answer episode.
Yeah.
And the idea is very, very simple. You will just send us your questions on any topic, on Bond, on anything else, and we will answer them.
Yeah.
So if you have a question you would like to ask us for a brief special episode, which can be Ask James and Tom anything.
Yeah, not maths, though.
Yeah, no, not maths. Or not like where babies come from, because you should know that by now, really. So if you would like to ask us anything, drop us a line and tell us at the usual places. Either a comment underneath or on that there Twitter at Review Kill Show. Okay? And we'll answer your question on any subject, and hopefully that is coming your way in the near future. And that was... You okay there? Feedback Corner. Lovely. Right. Should we get on with this episode? This episode, we will be talking about the 13th movie in the James Bond franchise, which is, of course...
Octopussy!
On an all-time high, the thing and the thing. Yeah, Octopussy is what we're talking about tonight. Now, let's just consult the French chart, shall we? Tom has a French chart behind us here, which has all the French... names of every movie with which we add a certain je ne sais quoi to proceedings. He says, just as un crocodile.
Very good.
So, Octopussy in French is...
You see that?
So, Octopussy. Yeah, just Octopussy.
It happens from time to time, isn't it?
Octopussy. Le octopus. No,
that just sounds like you're being offensive.
Sorry. So it's Octopussy apparently.
Ruined feature again.
Another ruined feature. On the subject of which, it's time for Tom's brilliant plot summary of Octopussy. And if you thought that was a ruined feature, wait till you hear this.
Here we go.
Go ahead, 009.
Shall I just crack on?
Jump straight into your... Go ahead.
My field of vision.
Go straight
making
into
it even more difficult this time.
Exactly. Your plot summary of Octopussy, go.
What's James Bond doing towing a horse? Well, he's infiltrating a Cuban military base to blow it up with the help of a sexy lady's distractions. With the help of a sexy lady's distractions, he escapes some baddies and flies out of the horse's ass without showing off at all. And then he lures this heat-seeking robot to the base and completes his mission with a massive explosion. and the opening credits roll, and the rest of the movie has nothing to do with that.
It doesn't. No, literally.
Okay. Then this clown is getting chased by knife-throwing bastards, but he gets knifed and falls through the glass into this room in the embassy. What is it, British Embassy or something? And a big jewelled egg rolls out of his hand. It looks pretty cool, pretty creepy. And then in a work meeting, Bond gets told the egg was a fake, but the real one's being auctioned. So he goes to the auction to scope out the buyers and pisses about bidding on the egg, but it's just a trick to switch them. And while doing that, this bloke, Khan, has to pay £500,000 for the egg. Oh yeah, and there's this Russian bloke, Orlov, who's winding up Gogol about going on about invading everything, everywhere, which Gogol's not up for. Anyway, Bond follows Khan to India, where he teams up with this bloke Vijay, who, Christ, does he like going on about tennis. And Bond goes to play backgammon with Khan, gambling another egg, fake, and brackets fake, and catches Khan out with his cheating dice. And then there's a tuk-tuk chase over the Q branch, picks up some metal dissolving acid, picks up this woman, Magda, who's in with Khan, and after a night of doing it, she scarpers out of the window with the egg, brackets fake, and gives it to Khan. He's like, ha ha ha. And then Bond is knocked out by Gobinder, who's like Khan's main heavy, and he's taken to Khan's palace. So Khan is getting help smuggling the egg from this woman called Octopussy, who's like wealthy, and she lives in an island palace inhabited by beautiful women. As well as smuggling, Octopussy runs legitimate businesses, including circuses. Bond listens in on a secret meeting between Khan and Orlov, who plan to meet at a circus in Karl-Marx-Stadt. Sorry.
Can I just say, you haven't mentioned the crocodile. People are going to be sat here going, why is he dressed as a crocodile? Okay, go on.
I left it out. I might have said it. I've written it down somewhere. Bond escapes, but is chased through the jungle for a bit. And then Bond confronts Octopussy, who it turns out likes Bond because of some weird backstory about her octopus handling father. They do it and then are attacked in the night by bastards. Bond escapes and tells Q that he has to go to after dressing up as a crocodile. Thank you. Goes to see Q and says he has to go to a circus in Karl-Marx-Stadt. And it's just my favourite line reading of any film ever, I think.
Well, I have to go to a circus in Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Oh, and VJ's been killed.
and that happened, yeah.
Gogol finds out about the counterfeit jewel stuff going on, so goes after Orlov at the circus in Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Bond finds out that Khan and Orlov are planning to replace a canister of jewels for an atomic bomb to be set off at a US Air Force base in West Germany and make it look like an accident, prompting nuclear disarmament, which would allow Orlov's bastard squad to attack and destroy everybody. But Bond and Orlov chase after the train with the bomb on it. The bomb on it.
The bomb on it, not the bond on it.
Bond's tyres get blown out, so he drives on the train tracks, problem solved.
Yeah.
Jumps on the train. Orlov, however, gets gunned down by the border guards, so Bond gets attacked on the train by Khan's henchmen, is forced off, steals a car, follows the train. Then he's at the circus in Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Disguises himself as a clown and has a bit of bother convincing these army generals that there's a bomb, but manages to defuse it just in time. And then back in India, Octopussy and her squad and Bond and Q take out all the guards at Khan's place. Khan escapes with Octopussy in a plane, but Bond jumps on it and has a fight with Gobinder and kills him on the bloody plane. That's good, that bit. He jumps out of the plane with Octopussy leaving it to crash with Khan inside, and M and Google sort of tie things up on the phone, and then Bond's in bed looking like he's broken all his bones and that, but he's only kidding and does it with Octopussy again.
Very good, very good. Thank you for that fine plot summary. That is the movie which we will be discussing this evening and marking on the BondBoard, just in case you've never seen this before and you wonder what on earth this magnificent creation is behind us, which
Sorry.
we will come to very shortly. So first, I'm going to give you some information about this film.
Yes.
I'm going to do the intelligence, more sort of highbrow stuff. So,
If you
obviously
say
dressed
so.
like this, I think it adds an extra kudos and gravitas, sort of, yeah. The crocodile will now speak. This is the 13th movie in the James Bond franchise. It was Roger Moore's 6th appearance as Bond. Following For Your Eyes Only, Roger Moore had expressed a desire to basically retire from the role of Bond. He felt he was doing it for long enough, and also they couldn't agree on the money, and he was just negotiating on a film-by-film basis. They actually interviewed a lot of the same actors again.
I bet
so
I
it
know one of
literally
them.
was the same. Do you mean was it?
Michael Billington.
It was Michael
Bloody
Billington
hell.
yet
Piss
again.
takers.
And that was the 5th time he came close to getting Bond, but never actually got it. And in fact, he even did a screen test with Maud Adams and
another
with
one.
VJ.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. So he really got close this time, but still didn't get the role. Timothy Dalton was suggested.
Yeah.
Lewis Collins once again was suggested.
Is he the guy from The Professionals?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he'd just been in. He'd done some movie. I think he did Who Dares Wins, didn't he? Around that time. Oliver Tobias was in it, and the person who seems to have got closest was actually the American actor James Brolin, Josh Brolin's father.
Oh, from Westworld.
Who screen tested some of the Indian scenes.
Oh, okay.
And he seems to have got closest. But anyway, when Never Say Never Again was announced, which we talked about earlier, thank you to Triforce of Kaz, and it was announced that the former Bond, the original Bond, Sean Connery, was coming back to play Bond in the unofficial Never Say Never Again. The producers basically went back to Roger and said, look, we need an established Bond to go up against Connery. So they managed to convince him to come back and do Octopussy, which means we can do
Threads Watch.
Nice. Threads Watch. Do we include the moustache?
I was going to say, my Fred Watchometer
Just went
blew up
doing.
in the opening seconds of the movie.
And what I like is she puts it on him almost tenderly. Like, don't forget your moustache.
I mean,
darling.
before that, he starts.
Yeah.
He looks. He's got the horse gear on.
He looks like Jacob Rees-Mogg on a bad day, doesn't he? He's got
But
all
it's
the
like-
riding gear on.
Reversible, straight off the bat.
Straight and
Amazing.
reversible clothes, fabulous. Lovely
Into
to
the
see.
military gear.
In the pre-title
and complete
sequence.
with the tash.
Yeah.
It's just
So that's
superb.
that's
That
a
was
strong
just
start.
like-
Yeah, love it.
Yes.
We've then got a very nice light suit in India, but not linen. I would have thought linen was the way to go in India. This is like
the
a
beige one with the brown tie.
a brown suit with a brown tie, and I would have thought
Oh.
it almost looks like a sort of light wool. I would have thought that was the last thing you'd want in India. But anyway, we also have, and I know you will be particularly pleased about this.
I know.
Go ahead,
The
go on.
safari suit.
The return of
The
the safari
all beige
suit.
is that's a sight to behold. That's nice.
It is a beautiful thing. We've also got a naval assault jacket, a sort of bomber jacket at the end. I've actually worn my equivalent this evening, but I've been forced to disband it because of this.
Sorry.
This thing. We've also got, and I do think this needs particular comment. Now, I looked this up to make sure I looked it up on the Bond Suits website to make sure I got this right.
Yeah.
And they're the experts. They do an excellent website all about the clothes that 007 wears. And so I defer to their expertise. They describe it as an olive suede shooting vest over a lightweight taupe shirt and dark brown trousers.
Lovely. Yeah, I thought it was brown, the jacket. Maybe my eyes don't.
Yeah, well, they say it's olive. I mean, I don't think we need to split hairs about it.
I'm not going to argue.
Either choice is superb, obviously. And of course, there is also the small matter of him dressing up as a gorilla, dressing up as a crocodile, and dressing up as a clown.
Yeah. There's also a bit where he's getting a back rub from VJ and he's in a towel that's like covering his whole gut.
Well, he couldn't have his girdle on, that's why. He had to have the towel to cover it up. God love him. Come on, he was 56 by this point, Have you got any more? Or is that
No,
all the
you
threads?
have gone through it
Thank you.
like a
I think
winner there. Yeah.
an outstanding episode of Threads
That is
Watch.
very good stuff. Yeah.
Congratulations to everyone concerned. And that was Threads Watch.
Threads Watch.
Excellent. Right, the cast. The cast for Octopussy was as follows. Maud Adams returns as the leading lady as Octopussy herself. She was the first woman to be cast twice as a leading Bond girl because, of course, she was Andrea Anders in The Man with the Golden Gun 9 years previously. Roger Moore said that she was his favourite Bond girl. Also considered for this part was Faye Dunaway,
Yeah, she's good.
Sybil Dunning, Kathleen Turner, Deborah Sheldon and Susan Penhaligon, who both screen tested with, you guessed it, Michael Billington.
Billo.
G'day, Billo. So anyway, the cast could have looked very different. Are you all right there?
Can't drink with the nose.
You're going to have to intravenously get it in or something. The main baddie, of course, playing Kamal Khan was Louis Jourdan, a French actor, 62 years old at the time. He had started his career as far back as the late 1930s as an actor and had been part of the French resistance in the war. And he was very much a sort of suave, debonair French film star of the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Obviously, by the 80s, he was getting on a bit, so his sort of sex symbol status had
So play a bastard
diminished
instead.
a bit. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he plays it very well, which we will talk about later. Christina Wayborn, another Swedish actress, as Magda. Kabir Bedi as Govinda, who is actually, and they did genuinely cast an Indian in that part, as Govinda. Stephen Burkhoff as Orlov. Now, Burkhoff, of course, still with us, by the way, at the age of 87 or something now, Stephen Burkhoff.
Yeah.
Superb career, very well-respected stage actor, sort of proper actor, popped up in all sorts of things over the years. But as also, as well as doing the sort of classical stuff, every so often in his career, he's popped up and done a big movie like this, and like Beverly Hills Cop and those sorts of films. So he's built this incredible career on stage and screen. And I think he's great as Orlov in this. We'll talk about
Not
that.
found reining it in.
I think chewing the scenery is the phrase.
Well,
isn't
you
it?
can't really imagine a director going, "Do you want to try that again?" But
Just give me a little bit more. Yeah.
If anything.
Look, he's not there to do subtle. Right? Orlov
That's
does
not
require
why you get
subtle.
Burkhoff.
No, exactly.
No.
And Vijay Amritaj as VJ.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned tennis. He may have just dropped in the tennis reference once or
Well,
twice.
yeah, they mention it.
You do know the reason for
blink
that.
and you'll miss them, but...
You do know the reason for that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a tennis
He
professional.
genuinely was a tennis pro.
I mean,
and he still was a pro when this movie was made.
But it's the most, of all sporting cameos, shoehorning in their profession. That's the best example of it I've ever seen.
No, I agree. I wonder if it was specifically to appeal to the Indian audience because he was such a big star in India.
Because I'm not really into my tennis, but I sort of think maybe I reckon he was around in the 80s.
No,
so
absolutely.
that's
No. He was. I mean, he was a
Successful,
top
massive,
tennis player.
yeah.
He was tennis pro for many years, and he twice made the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. So I mean, he was good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right,
he pops up as VJ. So there you go. Some regulars return. Walter Gotell, his fourth straight film as Gogol, and more leaning into the idea of détente with the West.
Yeah.
We see, of course, the return of Geoffrey Keane as Sir Frederick Grey, Roger Moore's old friend. It's his fourth appearance in the role. Lois Maxwell as Moneypenny, again.
Yeah, she's getting shifted out by the new one.
Well, Lois Maxwell actually thought she was being moved out for younger actresses, which is hence why they introduced the fabulously named Miss Penelope Smallbone, which, Desmond Llewellyn returns as Q. He actually gets involved in the action this time, flying the balloon and meeting some of Octopussy's girls.
Yeah, they're very friendly towards him, aren't they?
They are. And we have a new M.
Yeah.
And this is another good friend of Roger Moore's. In fact, Robert Brown, the actor in question, was godfather to Roger Moore's daughter, Deborah. And they went right back to decades before. He had been, you might remember, Admiral Hargreaves in The Spy Who Loved Me. and is now the new M. It's never established whether that's the same character who's been promoted or if he's playing someone completely different. That's never, just in case you're wondering, that's never established. Here are a few other people who pop up in the cast of this, which are noteworthy. General Peterson is an American actor who was based in the UK called Bruce Bower. Probably best known...
Is this a bloke in the circus?
Yes, General Peterson in the circus. Probably best known, Bruce Bower, as the American guest in the Waldorf Salad episode of Fawlty Towers.
Oh, that bloke.
That's him. Yeah. Which is just a brilliant episode, and he's perfect in that. General Peterson's aide, who sits next to him in the
That's the one I'm thinking
circus.
Of. Yeah.
Go on.
He's in the Death Star, isn't he?
He is. I find your lack of faith disturbing.
That's the first time you see the choke, the Force
That's right.
choke.
Yeah. He's Admiral Motti in Star Wars. Yeah. I do know my Star Wars as well. Just to say.
He likes his Star Wars.
Richard Leparmentier was his name.
Right.
Anyway, and we also have Jeremy Bulloch, who of course played Boba Fett. Once again popping up as Smithers, as he did in the previous movie. This time he's in the cab tracking Kamal. Right. And he pops up in India briefly as well, with the door that squashes people.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Which is a nice gadget. Yeah. There's also a couple of real sort of blink and you'll miss them things. Francisco the Fearless, the guy who gets shot out of the cannon toward the end. That's Richard Graydon, who is a stuntman. Who we last saw hanging off the cable car in Rio in Moonraker, doubling as Roger Moore in Moonraker. And
very
he was a
posh.
Very frightfully posh.
One thing that keeps going on is 007. He seems to be quite indestructible.
The other thing is, in the scene where Roger's fighting off Gobinda and his guys in the tuk-tuk chase, there is a guy on a bed of nails and all that kind of stuff. There's a fire eater in the background.
Oh.
That is, in his first role... the British comic actor Mark Heap, who was in Green Wing and who was in
Space.
And he was
Brian
in
Space,
Friday Night Dinner. He was the Jim the neighbour in Friday Night Dinner. That's him.
I didn't spot him.
Yeah, no, I mean he is a real blink and you'll miss it. It's his first ever credited.
Because I heard he was a street performer. Starting out.
He genuinely was a fire eater. So there you are. The director of this movie. The second of 5 consecutive movies to be directed by John Glenn, who directed every Bond film in the 1980s. Produced by Cubby Broccoli, of course. The script was by the returning Richard Maybaum and Michael G. Wilson, but also worked on the script George MacDonald Fraser, who wrote the Flashman novels. This was the only time he was actually involved in a Bond film, and he did he did a lot of the work on the script as well. This is 1983, so we touched on it earlier, but the Battle of the Bonds, so the unofficial Bond film, Never Say Never Again, is being made and released at around the same time as Octopussy. I can imagine there were lots of people going, no, look, this is the official one. Yeah. That's the unofficial one. That's why there's 2, and having to sort of explain all this stuff. So it was Connery against Moore. In truth, of course, there was no rivalry between them because the two of them were great friends and actually liked and respected each other a great deal, but it gave the tabloids something to salivate over. The novel. Well, it's not a novel, actually, Octopussy. It's a short story.
Yeah.
They've done all the novels by this point. So this is a short story, Octopussy. It was in a collection originally with The Living Daylights, which we are going to see later on, and also a short story called The Property of a Lady, which of course Rod refers to in this movie. And it's the basis of the auction scene in the movie, which is a really great scene in this film. Later editions also included Octopussy with the Living Daylights and a quite rare Ian Fleming short story called 007 in New York, which if you're interested in James Bond's perfect recipe for scrambled eggs, that's where you find that short story. There you are. That's a nerdy fact for you. Production. Any problems in production? Some, as always. No one killed this time, I'm pleased to report, but there were some issues. First of all, they were shooting in Udaipur in India, and everybody got ill, including Roger Moore. So that delayed and had problems, and there are sort of scenes where Roger's not looking terribly happy. There's a photo of Roger shooting the hunting scene, sat in a swampy pool of murky, horrible water, looking very unhappy and very depressed with life, and with a cigar, and sort of how many more days have we got to do this before we can go back home? So I think India was a sort of difficult experience for many of them. In the scene where Bond is hanging onto the train to try and catch Octopussy's attention, Martin Grace, who we've met before, one of the stuntmen, he was Roger Moore's stunt double for this scene. For whatever reason, there was some kind of miscommunication, and they carried on doing the scene longer than he should have done. And Martin Grace is still hanging on to the side of the train. The train now goes into a section of track which had not been previously surveyed as safe. Sure enough, a concrete pole fractured his left leg, and he was in hospital for months. So that's pretty, pretty difficult and something of a near miss. Although Martin Grace was back for the next movie, and he does an amazing stunt in the next movie, which I will tell you about in the next episode. Okay. Also, there is a moment in the chase in India, the tuk-tuk chase, where a cyclist flies between the two tuk-tuks. Yeah. That was completely unplanned. He was a member of the public who just rode through the shot. They don't know who he is, who he was, or what he was doing there, or whatever else. But genuinely, that was, one of those weird things, and it was kept in the final film. Controversies. Anything in this movie that wouldn't be included now. There are some Indian stereotypes, which I think we would now say were quite dated and quite what's the word, reductive. First of all, every street corner seems to have fire eaters, sword swallowers, men sitting on bed of nails, and elephants. There's elephants everywhere. There are elephants walking around the streets of India, like in the middle of the city. I don't know. Is that a thing? There's also Roger's line, "That ought to keep you in curry," which hasn't aged well.
That's the worst stinker. It is. Most notable stinker.
Yeah. So one or two comments about that in the years since. Reception. Mixed, I think, is a fair way of describing the reception of this movie. It's quite divisive amongst the fan base. Some absolutely love it, some are a bit more lukewarm. General praise from the critics for the action sequences and the locations, but the plot and the humour did get some criticism. Today on Rotten Tomatoes, 42%. So not a great score, really. However, wildly successful. The budget for this movie, 27.5 million, so almost identical to For Your Eyes Only. The box office, 187.5 million. So it's wiping its face in a very big way. Very slightly down on For Your Eyes Only, but only slightly, nothing to worry about. And crucially, ahead of Never Say Never Again, which took 160 million at the box office. So look, that was a quick recap of Octopussy. We will now move to the ultimate arbiter of all things Bond, the BondBoard, which we will look at next. Tom, or should I say 009, please will you activate the BondBoard?
Spellcasting BONDBOARD. Activate. Crap, this thing. Fits in with the show.
This YouTube show is free. I just want to point that out, all right? You're not paying for this quality, all right? Okay, this is the BondBoard. Okay. And this, right. I mean...
Can I just say...
we've sort of...
Loads of bits obviously fallen off.
Yeah.
Those bits have stuck on. I can't even get rid of them, so I just left them there.
They're hanging on for
I will attend to this. Yeah. I've been busy.
The accoutrements of the BondBoard are now missing, for which we apologise.
Should we do a rundown of the top 5, maybe?
Let's do a rundown of the top 5 so far.
Oh, I'll have to do a double douche.
A double douche.
So, number 5, Live and Let Die with one... Oh, sorry, Live and Let Die and Moonraker. 179.
Douche. Douche.
Whoa,
double douche. You don't get many of them. Yeah. You don't see many of them in the wild, do you?
4th place we got From Russia with Love with 184.
Douche.
And then in 3rd place we've got Thunderball with 186.
Douche.
2nd place, Goldfinger with 191.
Douche.
Croc douche.
Croc douche.
Where's 1? The Spy Who Loved Me, of course, with 198.
So that's our top 10.
5.
Top 5. Well, 6 really, but anyway. We never planned for a tie, but anyway, we'll have to
we're
figure that
still
out.
thinking on Phil's feedback about
Yeah,
it from last time.
it seems like a lot of work.
Messed our heads up.
Yeah. So anyway, those are the scores. This is the 13th, so we'll see where Octopussy comes in the scoring. There are 12 elements to the Bond film, and the first of those is the opening sequence.
Yeah.
What do you make of the opening sequence? Great, mate. It's pop-tabulous.
Well, like I say, it was already like beaming from ear to ear with the threads at the start. And then I enjoyed, that horse's ass doesn't quite look real.
It really doesn't. It looks like wood from about 100 yards away.
Yeah,
But hey,
then he flies a compact jet out of it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, before that, there's a little. He does a salute judo chop combo, which I enjoyed.
Judo chop.
And he makes some sort of Rick Mail faces at the guards with that lady. Yeah. So I like that.
Yes, I like it as well. I think the outstanding stunt, of course, is the plane going through the hangar.
Yeah, that's
which is
great.
just a hell of a stunt.
And a massive explosion, which I hope went off at the right time.
It was a model. You're cool. It was like a 5-foot model. So yeah, they didn't actually blow the barn up. So it's cool. Again, completely unrelated to the rest of the story, but I think it works as a little piece on its own. So what have you scored it out of 10?
7 out of 10.
I've also gone 7, which is interesting. Watching it for the first time and watching it for the billionth time, we've come to the same score. So Tom's scores go on the BondBoard in blue, mine go on in red, because it would be a great shame if we lost for posterity the precise scoring mechanism for something this important. Right, the theme song.
Sounds like you're being sarcastic there.
No, absolutely not.
I'll leave it.
I would never dream of doing such a thing. The theme song. Now, of course, when the title of the film is Octopussy, it's a bit of a problem to come up with a theme song called Octopussy. Yeah. So they didn't even try. They came up with All Time High, memorably sung by Mark Wahlberg in Ted, of course. Great stuff. Sung by Rita Coolidge, very well respected American singer. Music by the great John Barry. Lyrics by Sir Tim Rice, legendary. Now you would think with that combination, this is going to be a brilliant song, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be wrong.
Oh, he's not a fan.
I'm not a fan, no.
So I wasn't that... I'm still not massive on this one, but...
Really?
I learned to play it.
Okay, go on. You're the musician. Please furnish us with your
I've gone for the acoustic guitar.
Okay,
here.
nice.
I can actually play this one. Oh.
Famous last words.
Yeah, it's because I've done that, innit? I've said it. Something like that, anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean...
And then,
That sounds better to me than the saxophone. I hate that saxophone on it. That. It's like sleazy sex scene coming up. It's just...
There we go. And then, but the next time it goes to the key change.
Sounds like Dylan. Yeah, man. Yeah. On another time high. Yeah, man. I like it. I prefer that, to be honest.
Wow.
I prefer that. I mean, as a musician, maybe you sort of hear these songs differently, but I just thought it was really sort of nondescript.
Quite mediocre.
Yeah.
Little,
Which surprised me, given who's behind it.
Yeah. I guess this time they just went for just full on, rather than a bit soft with some actiony bits. They just went, let's just go totally soft.
Totally soft.
Have a moment of
smooth jazz.
relaxation to sort of then
nice
conflict with the action that's about. I don't know if I'm doing it. Just
whatever,
a soft
whatever.
song,
It's not
innit?
working for me. I've scored 4.
Bloody.
I don't
no,
like
I've
it.
gone 7.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really? I'm just surprised that you've gone so high.
Yeah,
But no. Listen, 4 and 7.
I'll put it
They go
now.
up on the board. It's like countdown. You've declared it, so you've got to stick with it now. You know, if you've said 4.
Yeah. I just think it's nothing like it's nothing offensive about
No, I
it.
don't
Nothing
hate
that
it. It just sort of goes over my
maybe-
head a bit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
okay.
mean? It's sort of, you know. Right, let's talk about the score. Obviously, Bill Conti did For Your Eyes Only because John Barry had tax problems, which prevented him from doing the film. Yes,
Right.
John Barry returned to do this score.
Yeah.
Again, we do have a sleazy saxophone going on.
Yeah.
There is, I think, the callbacks to the melody in the theme tune
Yeah.
are okay for the most part, but it's a bit of a forgettable score. It's not one of his
Yeah,
best.
I was sort of. It does go just back. I actually thought that Conti. While at first it was so non.
It was a bit,
Barry,
bit of a shock. Yeah.
I ended up really liking it, whereas this one it's just your pretty run of the mill Barry, which sounds
Well, actually,
great,
I'm not sure.
but
I'm not sure it is because Run of the Mill Barry to me is like big brass sections and like we saw in On Her Majesty's Secret Service and those sorts of ones. There wasn't a lot of that this time. It was a bit quiet and a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I did know. Well, while we're talking about the score, actually, I did notice there's a ninja bit. Very briefly.
There's a ninja
Well,
bit?
kind of ninja. Well, they're sort of ninjas. They got throwing stuff.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
tuk-tuk
yeah,
bits.
yeah.
And there's a large section of that that he chose not to score.
Yeah.
There's no music kicks in until he gets stabbed. When he's got
Yes.
He doesn't really die, does he?
Spoilers.
Yeah, so I thought I'd just try doing my ninjas music to that bit.
Ninjas, sort of. So what have you said for the score?
I've gone 7 again.
I've only
And
gone
now-
6.
Yeah. See, now I'm doubting. I've gone
No,
too,
you must never doubt
too
yourself.
generous.
I am.
I
Listen,
wasn't listening. 6.
it's for
Oh,
everyone.
no, this is me. 7. 6.
It's for everyone. So far, you're enjoying this movie more than I am.
Yeah.
Let's see if that changes with item 4, which is stunts. Okay, I mean there are sort of 2 big stunts in this movie as I see it. Sorry, 3 big stunts in this movie as I see it. The jet in the pre-title sequence going through the hangar.
Yeah.
On the train, chasing the Jules and the
On
bomb
the-
on the
yeah,
train.
actually,
Literally on the train, on the
hanging on
roof
it,
of the
yeah.
train and hanging onto the
Great
side
stuff.
and all that stuff. And of course the plane sequence at the end.
The end, yeah.
So,
that's mad, that stuff.
Very briefly on each of them. The jet in the pre-title sequence, they didn't actually fly a jet through a warehouse.
Yeah.
They mounted a jet on a car. It was a Jaguar, actually. Drove the Jaguar through at top speed, and so that it didn't look like it was sort of set still, it was set on a pivoting arm, rotating arm, so that as they drove the Jag through, the jet actually rotated on top of the Jag. And of course, it also allowed all the extras to just run away from the car.
That's bloody
So
good,
that's
isn't it?
all. That's all real life.
Yeah.
They just hid the car. Isn't that clever?
Very
Simple
clever
but brilliant.
stuff.
Yeah. On the train, we've already mentioned Martin Grace doubling for Roger Moore. Fantastic. Really, genuinely scary, difficult.
Yeah.
Dangerous stuff. Under the train, on top of the train, hanging onto the side of the train.
God, yeah.
Really, really good. And then there's the plane sequence at the end with Bond and Gobinda fighting on the roof of a plane. And you
crazy.
guessed it, there were people literally
No, I
hanging
knew
on
there were
to
because
the outside of the
on
plane.
a nice big telly,
Yeah.
you can
see that they're there.
It's not even like hiding his face, and
No,
I
no.
will not have to do some slow motion probably with my edits and just show you the bit so you can see this bloke. But you think, well, yeah,
Like this.
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously, Roger Moore's not going to do that.
No.
But it's like, well, but yeah, if they're going to put an actual and some other bloke there,
Yeah.
he must be on a plane in the sky.
Absolutely. So you remember we had the aerial stunts in Moonraker in the pre-title
Yeah,
sequence. They
yeah.
went back to those guys. So there were actually 4 of them hanging onto the outside of the plane. 2 doubling for Bond and Gobinda. Jake Lombard and BJ Worth, who we see a lot in Bond films of the 80s. There is a stunt in a later 80s Bond film, which I won't spoil for you, that BJ Worth does in the air, which is absolutely extraordinary. And yeah, they were, those two guys and two of their colleagues as cameramen, hanging onto the edge of the plane, nothing keeping them on, no harnesses or anything. They were wearing parachutes, so obviously if they fell, they could open a chute.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, bloody dangerous.
Yeah.
There is behind the scenes footage you can see, rough, what they call the rushes, the raw footage, that you can see on YouTube and that kind of thing that's been released. And they're literally hanging onto the edge of the plane, like smiling and sort of like this. And it's absolutely crazy. And it just shows you what these guys do.
Yeah.
You know? And for a film which we'll talk about the sort of, what's the word? The sort of tone of the film later on. But for a film that is very light and almost a bit slapsticky in places, there are some amazing stunts in this.
Yeah.
So I've gone the full 9 for stunts. I think they're brilliant.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, there's a few...
Yeah, please, go ahead.
What I've got, so yeah, you talked about the main big ones. No, actually, just one where he's sliding down the stairs and he shoots the banister knob.
So he doesn't hit his nuts on the banister, yeah.
Oh, you know, all right.
No, yeah, not too bad. And actually, one of the few stunts Roger actually did.
I saw, yeah.
Or at least partly
he must
did.
have, yeah. Maybe he had some wheels on his, like, sat on some wheels on a roller skate or something. And,
on his...
on his arse.
I mean, Roger actually used to make a joke where he used to say, I do all my own stunts. I do all my own lying too. Very good. So no, it's not Rog for most of those. It won't surprise you to learn. Okay. So I've gone big 9
big
for the stunts. I think they're brilliant. Yeah.
I just gone one below. I got 8.
Okay,
I'm quite impressed.
That's a good score. Next we have vehicles. What are you saying for vehicles?
Well, we talked about the compact jet concealing.
Acrostar, the jet is
concealed by
Acrostar
horse
jet.
ass.
Yep. A little Acrostar single man jet, just bomb around in that. I've seen that jet actually in the Bond in Motion exhibition, which is very good. It's tiny actually, and it was genuinely flown. It was a actual jet that you could fly. We should include the tuk-tuks, I guess.
They played quite a big bit in it, didn't they?
Yeah, multiple tuk-tuks, but obviously the Q branch tuk-tuk with the turbo engine and the onboard computer and whatever else it was. I don't know, rocket launchers or something. I can't remember what was on it. And the rest of it is mostly cars. So we've got Kamal's Rolls Royce, which is very pretty and beautiful.
Yeah.
Car. We've got the Mercedes that cleverly fits on a railway line.
Yeah.
Isn't that handy how the width of the wheels on the Mercedes is exactly the gauge of the railway line? Helpful. Very helpful.
Yeah.
And we've also got... And I've got a bit of a thing about this car. The Alfa Romeo GTV6 that Bond steals from the lady in Germany.
Das ist mein Auto.
Mein Auto.
I can translate. She says, Das ist mein Auto. I did German at school. That means, that is my car, you thieving bastard.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I did wonder.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It wasn't completely clear. I think it's a beautiful looking car. And yeah. So, some nice cars. Nothing massively outstanding, perhaps? Have I
Car-wise, not really.
No. What are the vehicles?
No, that's about it, really. In the hot air balloon.
Oh, yeah, of course. The hot air balloon with a subtle Union Jack all over it.
Yeah. You said all the rest. Oh, there's a cab being driven by a very nice gentleman called Carl. Very cooperative, isn't he?
Yes.
Do you remember Carl?
I do.
He goes,
No problem.
no problem!
No problem!
I would have liked to have seen a lot more of Carl.
But did you notice there was a slight to the music as well?
No problem.
I can't find any evidence of this in all of my extensive reading of the Bond Bible and everywhere else. I wonder if that was supposed to be maybe Carl was going to double cross him or something like that. Because it seems like such an obvious clang moment when Carl goes,
No problem.
So I wonder if there was a
don't see
plan
him
to do
ever
something
again.
more with Carl. Yeah, I don't know.
They should have done.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was good. I liked him.
I could be guessing, but it's a hell of a cameo if it was. Well done to you, sir.
Yeah.
Is that it for vehicles?
Yes. I
Nothing
believe...
massively outstanding. What have you said for
I already
vehicles?
said 6.
I have also said 6 for vehicles. Yeah.
Joke.
As much as I love the GTV6, which a girl I used to go to school with, or sixth form college with, had one of those in the early 90s, and I desperately craved the car. I thought it was a gorgeous looking thing. Right. Villain, I think, is next.
Yeah.
Villain next. So, Louis Jourdan, French actor, very smooth, very suave, handsome movie star of the 50s.
Yeah.
I think he's quite good. I think he's a different kind of baddie. I mean, he's
Yeah.
clearly barking mad, but he's
Yeah.
very smooth. I think on things like the dinner scene, he looks right, saying the souffle can't wait, and there are sort of standards. A bit closer to Drax, perhaps, in Moonraker. Very much a man who appreciates the finer
Do you
things
know
in
what
life.
that was? The eye.
Yes.
Dog shit. No, what? I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. And by the way, the line he said, when he says after the backgammon scene, spend the money quickly, Mr.
Yeah.
Bond, that's from the novel of Moonraker, when Drax loses to Bond at Bridge in Blades in Moonraker. So yeah, I think he's really good. At this point, I think we should mention Stephen Burkoff. I know he's quite divisive, and some people think he's a bit over the top. I have to say, I really like him.
Yeah.
I think he's having tremendous fun. I think he's a
looks that way.
fantastic actor, and he's just having the time of his life. I love the way at the start, literally in the first speech that he makes in the movie, when he said, the general clings to
timid, outdated, and unrealistic policies.
timid ideas, and he's clearly
He
like,
does that Austin Powers.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble controlling the volume of my voice. Yeah.
I just think he's clearly, he's obviously gone, okay, this bloke is barking mad, I'm going to just dial this up to 100.
And I
So what
reckon
you're saying?
better to go big for a character like that.
Well, you don't want him to be forgettable, do you? You know.
Yeah. So
Go big.
I'll say 7 if we're saying the two
I
of
have
them.
also said 7.
Ooh.
So we match again.
Matching
We're
again.
matching quite a lot, aren't we? That's
Oh, I done it the wrong
Don't
way
worry, it
round,
doesn't
but it's
matter.
the same, so it doesn't
it's
matter.
the same. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, henchman is the next category, which I think is mostly Gobinder.
Gobinder.
He's very much from the sort of Odd Job and
Yes.
Jaws mould. Big, scary,
He does
silent
that.
guy.
I
Doesn't
can
say
do
a
that.
lot.
You know where he crushes that dice? I
Yeah.
can do that.
Go on then. Yeah, I mean, he crushes the dice like Odd Job does with the golf ball. One thing about Gobinder, it's never quite explained why he follows Kamal Khan so devoutly. To the point where he will go out
Yeah.
on the roof of a flying plane. That would have been quite interesting to find out a little bit more about him. But I guess they were going for mystery and
Pays well.
all that kind of stuff. Exactly. Maybe it's just maybe it would have equally transferred his allegiances to Bond. Who knows? We'll never
Yeah.
find out. But he's good. I mean, he's pretty scary. He's pretty, the silent. And he does look like a guy who genuinely enjoys killing people, just as Odd Job and Jaws.
Yeah.
And so others
Yeah.
do. So, any other thoughts? Anything?
There's
I've missed?
that. There's very towards the end. There's the yo-yo, the giant yo-yo sword.
Oh yeah, I
baddie.
like that. Yeah.
So and he hangs around with a bloke with one eye
Yeah.
who just
Looks completely normal.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't really do anything apart from kill VJ. And you don't see that on. Well, you see it very.
No, I like Henchman. I think he's a good character. Once again, I've gone 7. I'm sorry to keep scoring 7, but
Yeah,
I
I've done a lot of that this time.
lots of
too.
7s. Yeah. Did you just drop the pen then and
The
skillfully go straight through it?
Yeah,
Oh, the lid.
The lid's on the floor.
Yeah, no, good. I like the way you went straight through it, and none of us have drawn attention to it. Location is the next category.
Yeah.
I guess the most eye-catching location in this is, of course, India.
Yeah.
Primarily in and around Udaipur in Rajasthan. It does look absolutely beautiful on screen.
Yeah.
Although they did take some shots of the Taj Mahal as well, which is like a 10-hour train ride in the opposite direction. But,
There's that bit with the zigzag road, and it sort of pans out, and then there's that castle or something on the palace at the top.
on the hill,
Yeah, that's
Beautiful.
a really lovely shot.
West Berlin, as it was then, of course, we're still in Cold War time, so Berlin was divided, the Berlin Wall was still up. West Berlin was used, we saw a bit of Spandau Prison, the Brandenburg Gate, and the Potsdamer Platz. Really good contrast between the two. We're in India, and suddenly, bang, we're in West Berlin, and there is a really good contrast between the two. I think Berlin is underused. This is Bond in the Cold War, in Berlin, going to the eastern side of the country, behind the Iron Curtain, on his own. I think they could have made more of East Berlin, but that's just a slight grumble on my part. The other thing, the train sequence going to the circus at Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Karl-Marx-Stadt.
Yeah.
In East Germany. Not in East Germany at all. It was the Nene Valley Railway in Lincolnshire. What have you said for
8?
8?
Yeah.
I've gone 7. Oh. So you enjoy a bit of India more?
Yeah.
Okay. You're still slightly ahead of me, I think, on the
yeah.
scoring.
Yeah.
It's that theme song that's let my scoring down. Right, story. Now, we've obviously had Tom's magnificent plot summary, and frankly, we can't improve on that. But we can at least add a few thoughts just around it.
Yeah.
We are in the Bond at its most mad phase at this point, as we were with Moonraker.
Yeah.
If Fiore's only sort of dialed it down slightly, Octopussy's gone right back up to 10 where Moonraker was.
Definitely so.
The changes in tone are absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Just as we said with Moonraker, where 1 minute Corinne's getting eaten by rabid dogs, and the next minute Bond's driving the hovercraft around St. Mark's Square. It's a bit like this here. You've got genuinely tense or frightening action scenes, the death of 009, hanging onto the plane, the railway sequence. The guy who gets the bullet in the head in the railway sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty hardcore, right?
Yeah.
But then it's interspersed with real slapstick, mad stuff. The hunting sequence in India.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd have put in either the Tarzan roar, or the hiss off to the snake, or the sits to the tiger, you go, okay, one of them's this is a bit silly. All three have gone in, right?
Tarzan being the absolute worst of those.
And also, I'm going to have a little moan here, and I apologise.
Yeah.
And I apologise to people who are offended who love this movie. I love this movie, but there are things I don't like about it. That final fight scene at Kamal's palace, where they're fighting with the girls from the circus and the elephants, and I'm sorry, I'm just not having it. I remember watching it as a kid and sort of going, really? And it was supposed to appeal to me, right, at like 12 or whatever I was at the time. But the more I watched it again last night, thinking maybe I've sort of misremembered it or not, been fair or whatever. And I watched it last night and thought, nah, I'm just not having this. I'm sorry, this is dog shit. And actually, it then goes within seconds to that great scene where he's hanging on the roof of the plane. That's a brilliant stunt.
Yeah.
And it is just a mad combination of tone in the story.
Yes.
I do like a lot of things about this movie, but it's a bit up and down the story. A bit like we said with Moonraker, I suppose.
I have gone 7 again.
Yeah.
But no, have you?
Yeah, I've gone 7 as well. Although
I thought you were going to go
on
lower.
reflection, I think that's a high 7. Maybe it should be a 6, to be honest. But, it's not that I don't like this movie. I do. It's one of those you accept warts and all.
Yes.
There's only 3 categories left.
Yeah.
So you know what time it is?
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
I did a bit of a circus.
Okay, you're going to have to talk me through that. Oh, it's a circus thing. Oh, sorry. Let's hear it again. I was thinking, is it a sitar and it's Indian? What is it? Right, let's hear it again.
Gadgets, gags, and girls.
I love the little thing at the end. That's nice.
That took me, only a few weeks.
Sorry, have I done long enough in my crocodile costume? Because I'm dying.
No.
Can I? Can I just get some air? I'm boiling.
Go on.
I know. I like it. I do like
take
gadget, gags, and girls.
clothes off.
It's all good. Okay, let's do gadgets, gags, and girls as our last 3 categories.
Long here,
Gadgets. What you saying, Q?
Right. Straight away, bomb in a briefcase at the beginning. Horse ass compact jet. I'm classing the horse ass part as a gadget.
Yep.
Replaceable dragon poster door Q branch in India.
Oh yes,
I'll call that a gadget.
Yeah.
But then you're in Q branch, just away from the gadget a bit. Good job. Karen's on hand for a bit of sewing. She's done like controversies.
Yeah.
It's like, is there any women around here that can sort this hole?
And
in
also,
my jacket
actually,
out?
I know we're jumping ahead, or maybe we should have covered it in controversies. But yes, Karen gets the tuxedo to sew up because it couldn't be a man, could it? But also, there's the bit where Bond, and I know it's a silly, harmless joke, But when Bond zooms in on the girl's breasts, on the camera. But here's the thing: she sat there smiling, this is completely fine with me. And I don't mind because it's 007.
And they just stay on him as well.
I know. And she's in the background going, "Oh, that's just Rog having a laugh." Which, anyway, sorry. Yeah. I digress. Go on, gadgets.
Yeah. The Indian rope having trouble keeping it up.
Yeah.
The smashing door. Is that just a really heavy door with some spikes on it?
Yes. It's an extremely heavy door with some very sharp spikes on it.
Okay. There's a metal dissolving acid pen.
Yes.
It's good.
Which actually is a genuinely useful one because he doesn't get out of Kamal's palace.
Yeah. And then the Fabergé egg, but the fake one, they put like a homing device and a bug in it, and that syncs to his Seiko watch.
You're forgetting something.
What? Okay. Is that it?
Look, I'm a crocodile now.
Getting to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I had missed it.
Hey.
Oh no, crocodile submarine.
Crocodile submarine. So Roger lies in a plastic crocodile.
Yeah.
And he is now a crocodile. And he can just swim around.
Yeah.
And do you know something? You're going to see that crocodile again in a later movie.
Oh.
You are? Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a giant yo-yo saw, which I've mentioned, or one of the baddies has.
I'm a crocodile from Live and Let Die, and someone's just ran across my back.
I see.
Bastard.
Very good.
No, go
on. There's a sort of another organic gadget, I'm going to say, which is using a massive bloke as a motion detection shield. Motion detection shield. Just use a massive bloke.
Isn't it helpful that enormous fat bloke gets up and walks away just at the moment Bond moves into it?
And there's a tiger carpet. He sort of uses as a decoy to scare the shit out.
Yeah. And he fires at the carpet.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of them, but none real crackers, I'd say. Really.
No, we're not in sort of legendary gadget technology territory, but there is some nice stuff. Can I just give a shout out to the Seiko 80s watch?
Yeah, it's nice.
Which is lovely, isn't it? Beautiful 80s model. And beeps at all the wrong times as well. But yeah, no, that's pretty much everything I've got.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the tuk-tuks with extra power and all this stuff that they offer as well, which is all very nice. So what are you saying for gadgets? Great bait.
7.
I've also said 7. Great bait. Like I say, a good but not outstanding array of gadgets. Agreed. Gags is the next category.
I've got a shitload.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I'll go through a few, and those I've missed, you do. So I've got Filler Up Please, which is probably the ultimate Roger Moore line.
Yeah.
And actually, it's worth saying, this movie, obviously it's Roger's 6th.
Yeah.
They know by now how Roger's playing this part, and they really write the script for him. Almost the whole hunting scene is basically one long gag.
Yeah.
Culminating in, "No, ma'am, I'm with the economy tour."
Yeah.
Which I think, again, Roger delivers very well.
Yeah, can I just...
I've missed it. I'm not in order. I'm not in order.
I just want to say about this Tarzan thing.
Okay, yeah,
about that. It's so bad. That's worse than the slide whistle for me. And
I agree. No, do you know what? I think I would agree with you.
1983, another massive film did exactly the same gag. Chewbacca does it in Return of the Jedi. Same year. So they must have been making the films at the same time. So
maybe it was a thing.
Well, it's just that. It's the most obvious.
I guess if you're swinging through
overdone thing.
No, I agree.
There we go.
I'll tell you one line I'd forgotten about, which I remembered last night when I rewatched this movie, and I think Roger delivers it really well when he hands the horn to VJ and says, "You may need this to play with your asp," which I thought was a really good line. I did like that. We've talked about VJ using his tennis racket as a weapon, having problems keeping it up Q. And Bond generally being a dick to Q again. And I do like the way Q says, "I have no time for these adolescent antics," which I do think is a very Q line. I also like, I tell you one gag I do like is the gorilla checking his watch. Did you see when Bond, and they mentioned the time, and Bond as the gorilla just checks it, which I did think was a nice little touch. I like that a lot. The other thing I like doesn't involve Roger at all. When Kamal and Govinda escape the circus to get away from the bomb, and they jump in the Mercedes, and the first time the car doesn't start, and they both sort of look at each other like, shit. And then he turned the key again and it does start. That's a really nice little gag. I like that. Anyway, look, I've probably missed loads. So what have you got?
Right. So, when we first meet VJ, he's playing the Bond
The Bond theme, yeah.
on the
Nice touch.
yeah on the pipes.
Bit of breaking the fourth wall. I suppose
Yeah,
you would
well,
call
it's just,
that,
that's a
wouldn't you?
charming tune. And I
Yeah.
think, what, so has James Bond seen the Bond movies?
Well, don't forget he played Nobody Does It Better on
Yeah.
the keypad in For Yours Only, didn't he? So.
Yeah, bit weird.
Weird.
And then so there's all this tennis stuff. What have you learned so far? Well, my backhand's improved. All that stuff. They missed. I wrote a couple. Michael G. Wilson, have a listen if you want my writing skills. They could have had what's BJ's favourite drink? Juice.
Hey,
And I wrote the spy who thought he loved me. That's
that's good. I like that one. That's nice.
so yeah, but
Game,
I
set,
think
and match scriven.
in fairness, they did, and they even said game, set, and match, and they did the sight gag with
Yes,
the
yeah.
crowd changing
Yeah,
sides,
yeah.
stupid stuff. Yeah, get off my bed, and the sword swallower. You better stick that
Oh
back
yes,
on
yes,
yourself.
yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, there are parts of this movie where there's one gag every 10 seconds, like bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang. They just come along so quickly.
It's not a gang, but VJ giving Bond a back rub made me laugh. It's like.
I wonder if they were thinking VJ needs to be in this scene, but what should we have him doing? I know the obvious thing is, it is a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit. And bear in mind, he's like an international tennis star. He's not like some actor who's down on his uppers, who's struggling to get a part. You know. Anyway, go on.
Another bit that made me laugh was the photo of Octopussy's dad with the octopus on his arm. It's just, and
So that, by the way, all the stuff of Octopussy's
Yeah.
dad and having a pet octopus
Yeah.
and being a guy who had disgraced his profession
That's
and
right,
killed
yeah.
himself when Bond confronts him, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That is the short story of Octopussy. Right, that's what that is.
see.
So that's why they worked that in. But you're right, having a literal picture of a man... And also, he looks tremendously happy to have an octopus on his
really
arm.
does.
He's like... here I am with my favourite octopus on my arm.
And then, you mentioned the You Must Be Joking 007 on an island exclusively populated
Yeah.
by women. But I love the bit, the way he delivers the next line as he gets up.
We won't see him till dawn.
We won't see him till dawn. It's a bit, I think Steve Coogan's like picked up on that. He does that with his eat that. He'll eat that full. I can eat that full English breakfast every day. But I'd be dead. It's exactly the same kind of delivery.
It is, that's
I
true.
loved it. Yeah. And there's a group of teenagers in the car who like pretend they're going to give Bond a lift. They go,
Although it's kind of
Bastards.
nice to see someone being a dickhead to Bond for a change.
Yeah. And then a bit of a lame one, but I trust you can handle this contraption, Q. It goes by hot air. Then you can.
Yeah, that doesn't quite land, that does it?
And I wish you weren't in such a weakened position. I'm not. I can do you
Here
all
we
right.
go. Ba-bam. Q as well, going later perhaps. I think probably needs a bit of a comment as well.
Doing all right there.
Life in the old dog, yeah, obviously. Yeah. So what are we saying for gags?
Well, a lot of them were a bit, and I did write down like that. What's it? That will keep you in curry, just as it qualifies.
It was
but
intended as a gag.
There should be
wasn't it? Yeah.
maybe minus points for that one.
I guess
perhaps.
I mean times have changed. At the
Yeah,
time,
and it's
probably
not
seen
like
as harmless.
and I don't think it's one that sort of. Well, maybe not for me to say, but it's more that it's just. It just gives that superior white
it does
British.
a little bit, yeah.
All you do
he
is
stood
eat
there
curry
in
kind
a
of
white
stuff.
tuxedo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Bit,
Yeah.
But big long list here. Some of them better than others, but I've gone 8.
I have said 7.
Okay. We've got one more.
Although I do
category.
think we should give an extra mark for adolescent antics, which I do like very much. I'll say that when I'm disciplining the dog. I am in no mood for your adolescent antics. Right, finally, girls. Let's have a look at the female characters. Maud Adams, I think, is very good as Octopussy.
Yeah.
She's very mysterious. The background, you don't know whether to trust her or not. You know, she's quite good at that. I think that, like I say, they looked at a lot of other actresses, but in the end, they went for Maud Adams purely on the basis of how good she'd been in The Man with the
and I'll
Golden
say,
Gun
I
9 years
was thinking,
previously.
is this gonna like? they've not done this before.
Yeah, it is a
but
bit...
no, completely different character and played differently. Really good.
Really good. And she and Roger Moore genuinely did get on well and had really good chemistry. So
I
guess make the most of it, if they both want to work with each other again. Magda, slightly frustrating because she's not as well developed as perhaps she could be. The stuff when they're having dinner where she says about I collect memories, you could go into a bit of a... That's a bit okay. Why are you collecting photos of the menu statement? But it's like memories. What, who is she? Why is she there? I think a little bit of her backstory would have been quite interesting.
Yes.
I guess the film is long enough already. It's a longish Bond film, so
it is about 2 hours 10.
It's about which is really top end, really.
Yeah.
So I guess there was no time for it. But you don't know with either of those women whose side they're really on for quite a long time. And even as late as when Bond is defusing the bomb, Magda is saying to Octopussy, he's going to blow the whole mission. So that suggests, even at that point, she's still deciding which side she's going to fall into. A couple of other things just to say with some of the female characters. Bianca in the pre-title sequence. I mean, she's absolutely vital.
Yeah.
The mission doesn't succeed without her, but she doesn't really get any great lines or any great memorable screen time. So
I don't think that's why she's there, mate.
Well, really. I guess so. Although she's not quite as throwaway as the woman who's in the next pre-title sequence. But anyway, we'll talk about that in the next episode. Anything I've missed?
Small Bone? No.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, that wasn't an offer.
No, I was going to say, no, I'm fine. No, it's just the way. It's just the way this costume. No. I mean, again, she's
enough
just
of the crap small bone.
Enough of the crap double entendres, Eddie. I mean, she's a slightly throwaway character, isn't she?
Yeah, I was.
And
you ruined it. I thought there was going to be a continuing story with her.
No. She'd never seen again, honestly. And despite sort of Bond being quite sort of dismissive and whatever else, she's still all sort of towards Johnny, even though he's a good 30 years older than her.
57-year-old man.
Look at that man, isn't he? Look good for his age.
He looks just like me granddad.
Good job, I like older men. So, I mean, I've gone 7 for girls because largely for Maud Adams, who I think is really, really good in this.
Me too. I guess a lot of 7s.
I've just realised how many 7 I've got. Loads of 7s. A row of 7s. Look at that.
Laura.
It's very much a 7 movie for me.
I said 7 as well for girls.
So that is all of our...
That's all the scores.
I know that's not a 1. That's all the scores. So what we have to do now is some maths. And hey, that's always fun. Yeah, great. I can't wait to do some maths.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a little break. Back in the time it takes the board to revolve. We have done our maths and it's been terribly exciting. I'm just removing my crocodile costume, sorry. Boiling. Right, we have some scores. I have scored it
81
out of a possible 120, and Tom has scored it
86
also out of a possible 120, which means Octopussy has a total score of
167
out of a possible 240, which puts Octopussy slightly ahead of For Your Eyes Only on 164 and slightly ahead of You Only Live Twice on 165, but slightly behind on Her Majesty's Secret Service with 170.
Yeah.
So out of the 13 films we have done so far, Octopussy is in 8th place.
Yeah. It's good, isn't it? And I put it in a different colour. I suggested, was that Triforce of Chaos?
I think it was Triforce of Chaos.
Good suggestion. Look, we've done it. We listen.
We do.
Not like areas for suggestions like for improvement, like just don't do the show.
Yeah,
or do it a lot
get
better.
rid of the presenters. Yeah. That's not a suggestion we want to hear, really.
But
being honest,
that's helpful. This is the first time we've done stuff.
So a new colour for the show we're talking about in this episode. Yeah. Thank you, Triforce of Chaos. Excellent suggestion. So. Octopussy will go into 8th place with 167. 167! Please don't forget to send us some feedback.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to say thanks to Luna from Twitter as well. Sorry, we should have said that earlier. But You remember?
Yeah, I know Luna, yeah.
He posted he recommended us and was very kind.
That's very kind of
so,
you.
yeah,
Thank you
we're
very
very
much.
grateful for that. Thanks for
Luna,
watching.
much appreciated.
Yeah.
So yes, your comments, retweets, and all the rest of it, always very welcome, always very appreciated. Thank you very, very much. Don't forget, you can leave a comment or a question for us on any topic you like for our question and answer show that's coming up under this here video.
Yeah.
Under here where I'm pointing now, just leave a comment and whatever else. Please subscribe to our channel as well. We're trying to get our subscribers up. We would appreciate that. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, it is @ReviewKillShow. Next week, of course, next month, whenever we do this, next time on the show, we're going to be looking at A View to a Kill. Roger's swan song.
Yeah.
It'll be a sad moment to say goodbye to Rog.
The BondBoard is over halfway filled.
We are.
We're making some progress.
What are we going to do when we get to 25? It's going to be, the end of an era. It's going to be, the nation's going to be in mourning.
We'll find, there's plenty of movies, isn't there?
Well, we'll manage. We'll talk crap about something else.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we are. That was this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it very much.
Thanks, folks.
Lovely to see you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. It's Pop-tabulous. Good night.